Hey guys, this is Andy with Get Your Wellies. Welcome back to the channel. It is mid-January here in Central Arkansas. We're looking forward to about 12 weeks away will be time to plant outside for the upcoming 2023 garden season. So this is a great time of year. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about planning your garden. Also going to show you just a few of the things that I've picked out that I'll be planting in mine. So as always, why don't you get your wellies, meet me in the garden. So guys, before we even start thinking about putting seeds in seed trays, we really need to plan our garden a little bit. And the way that you do that probably has a lot to do with how big your garden is. Those who've been following me for a while know that my garden is pretty small, and so I don't necessarily have to have a spreadsheet on a computer or anything like that. Now, some of you guys, if you're growing on a larger scale, you have a few acres, it may be beneficial to do that. You can really keep up that way with, you know, how many seeds you need to buy each year, where you're putting them, all of those things. I actually just use a planner like this one. This was pretty cheap. It was $10, I believe, and I just use one of these every year to help me stay organized. At the beginning it works really well. I'll be honest with you, as the season goes on, I kind of lose a handle a little bit on my garden. That probably means I just need to be looking at this book a little bit more. Anyway, the first thing that I do is I go online. I usually go to the Farmer's Almanac just because it's been around forever. And the first thing I'll write in my calendar is the last frost date. This is, in our case, it actually shows up as April the 8th. So once you have that last frost date that you're going to be working with, that's the number that you're going to use to decide when to start your seeds, whether that be indoors or, in the case of some seeds, you can directly plant them outside. Now, a friend of mine has asked me to start some pepper plants for him, so I'm going to do that indoors. We're going to use these as an example. So if our last frost date, according to the almanac, is here on April 8th, if I backtrack from that, that would make 12 weeks prior to the last frost date would be January 14th, which we are now just past. So I need these to go in pretty soon. If we can go as close as 10 weeks, then theoretically I've got a few days left. So my peppers typically do well in my house. I have grow lights and I use a heating mat for them, so typically they actually are doing quite well by the time they go outside. This year I am going to prune them a little bit more, so that's going to maybe make them a little bit slower, but the benefit later is those plants will be a lot bushier. They'll give me a lot more peppers. So we'll talk more about pruning those. Right now we're just really wanting to get them started. So let me show you a few varieties that I'm going to be putting in as far as peppers go. Now, you've probably seen a lot of people on YouTube use these plastic photo cases like this one. I have two of these that are full of pepper seeds. Anybody that's watched my channel for a little while, you kind of know I like growing peppers. So another thing really quick, on the front of this you'll see a brand of seeds that is actually sold in one of the big box stores. These are like 50 cents. I mean, they're cheap. I am not necessarily hung up on one seed company, but I will buy some from the big box stores. This one is from Seeds of Change. These other ones are Premium Select American seeds, and then burpee. So these are all peppers. As you can see, the packages are open. I have already used seeds out of these packets, and so there's still a fair number of seeds left in these. So that brings another point. The date that it says to sell by is not an expiration date. So I actually have seeds over here that date back to 2014, and I've grown from this packet last year, so they last for a long time. You just want to keep them somewhere sort of dark and cool and dry is the main thing, and these photo containers work good for that. So I also do buy some of my seeds from Baker Creek. So if you're familiar with the Baker seed packaging, this is what most of them look like. Usually they have a nice picture of the fruit on there. So I do like Baker Creek, but I'm not absolutely stuck on it. I'm quite willing to get seeds from elsewhere. They're just as good. You just have a really good variety of things to select from at Baker Creek, and companies like Botanical Interests and M.I. Gardner. There's a lot of good seed companies around. So my friend has very hot tastes in peppers, and he's asked me to grow a selection for him that are really hot. I used to grow more hot peppers, but honestly, last year we started making a hot sauce, and it turned out really well, so that's kind of making me want to grow a few hot ones for myself this year, but we kind of backed off a little bit because they just were not really usable to me. I mean, it's not like you can just snack on them. They're crazy hot. But anyway, I'll show you what I'm doing in a minute, but this is what I'm going to grow for him. So this is the actually this is the ghost pepper, and I'm going to do those. They're hot, very hot. This one, the Carolina Reaper, is hotter than the ghost pepper. It actually held the record for being one of the hottest peppers in the world. Well, it was the hottest for a while per the Guinness Book of Records. So I'm going to grow him some of those. He requested the habanero, so those are pretty hot too. Nice flavor. And Trinidad Scorpion, I've grown those before, but this is a yellow one. You can see I spent a little time on Baker Creek for these, but I will say Baker Creek does have an exceptionally good selection of hot peppers. This one I have never tasted personally, but I grew this for the same friend last year, and he said it was ridiculously hot. He wanted these again. Apocalypse Scorpion. That just sounds like trouble. Okay, so what I'm going to grow for myself, we're going to grow, this is the jalapeno I like. I'll use some of the seeds from the other packages too for this. This is the Craig's Grande. These are pretty large, especially early season. After that, you'll want to see if they're starting to get smaller, amend your soil. They'll start getting bigger again. But these are a really good jalapeno. I'll put a link to my jalapeno poppers at the end of this. It'll be on the end screen. You can just click on that if you want to see how I make poppers in the air fryer. And we love doing that. So I'm going to grow several of those again. The hottest one I'm growing specifically for me this year is this one. Never grown it before, but it's a Thai red chili pepper. This is probably very hot. Thai cuisine calls for some really hot peppers. I don't know how they rate compared to ghost peppers or anything, but just eating the food, they're hot. So serranos, some of you may be familiar with serrano peppers. Again, they're pretty hot, but a nice flavor. This one is mildly hot, shishito. I have not grown this myself before, but I've heard really good things about it. Lots of people who don't really like hot peppers but want something with just a little bit of kick will grow that one. So we can do that. And then also this one has come up on a few other YouTube channels as being a really good tasting pepper. So I'm going to do that one as well. So in total I have 10 varieties of peppers that I'm growing either for myself or for a friend. I sometimes will grow a few extra because I often can sell those anyway, and I use money that I generate from selling plants here and there to putting in my seed fund so I can replace and generally build on my seed collection for the following year. So these cases I would highly recommend. Actually, let me show you this. This is a photo case. It's full of seeds. Yes, I have a problem. And then it comes with, I believe, 16 of these in there. So I have 2 of those. That's about all the seeds I have, but it's a lot of seeds. I really didn't buy very many this year, other than the seeds that my friend wanted me to grow. So I probably don't need to buy any for a little while. So anyway, so that's it as far as planning. I think obviously when we get to 6 to 8 weeks away from that last frost date, we're going to be looking at starting tomatoes. One thing I would also point out, if you do start seeds in the house and you're like me, I have limited amount of space. I use this little shelf behind me, and right now it's got tomatoes growing up the top here, which you've seen on another video. But I have another 2 shelves under there, but that's basically it. So it's a good idea to get something started earlier, and that way, you know, a month from now when I'm ready to have peppers finishing and tomatoes starting, then there'll be a little more space for me to do that indoors. Once they're up and going, I move mine out to the garage as long as it's not crazy cold still. But in the garage, they can still be on heat mats if they need to be. I have a much bigger shelf out there with bigger lights on, so they all end up slowly moving from the house to the garage setup out there, and then I'll start hardening them off from there once we get time to plant them out. So anyway, so that's it for today, guys. So guys, thanks for joining me today. I've enjoyed sharing the planning stage of my 2023 garden. I hope you're inspired to get your notepad out, find that last frost date, and plan when you're going to put things in. Join me on the next video where we'll start some seeds indoors. Until then, you all take care. Bye now.